Hello, all. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Super Voice 2022, the first reality show in the testing space by Synapse QA. I am Amala Vijayan and I will be your host for today. This is our third episode. Our previous episodes were on Battle Round on the theme Human Side of Testing. If you missed out on the previous episodes, please watch out the links from the description box. Today, we are starting a new round named Knockouts. In this round, our contestants will present their ideas on the theme Technology in Testing. So, without any further delay, let's welcome the essential part of our show, our dear judges. I'll start with Lalit. Lalit is a software quality leader and an international keynote speaker. He is currently associated with Accenture, Germany. Welcome, Lalit.
Hello,
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Okay, now I welcome our next judge, Lena. Lena is a senior leader and technical strategist. She is an international speaker and a facilitator. Welcome, Lena.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you today.
Yeah, thank you. Next, we also have Ajay. Ajay is currently working as Senior Director, Quality Engineer at GSPAN Technologies. He is also an international speaker and an author. Welcome, Ajay.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
So nice to see you all, judges. Since you were on the previous episodes, I would like to ask how was your experience and what you expect in this round. I'll start with Ajay.
Right. So, difficult task. Most of the participants were had similar kind of points to share, and in terms of the feedback, also it was, you know, kind of close. So, looking forward to the participants after. Hope they have read the feedback, taken the feedback, and looking forward to an improved performance and learning more from their stories.
Great, thank you. What about you, Lena?
I was actually really nervous before the last episode because I was like, what if I can't come up with actionable feedback on the spot? But it was a really nice experience, and I would love to do more of this in the future. I think I am looking forward to see if they have been able to work with the feedback, but also since this is a slightly longer format of the talk, how they will adapt to that. So really excited.
Yes, thank you. Then Lalit.
The experience has been great, and I agree with Ajay and Lena both. It's difficult job to be on this position and come up with something constructive and something that helps people in such a short time span. But I'm excited and looking forward to how people have incorporated the feedback and what they have to offer based on that.
Okay, great. That was awesome. Thank you, judges. Let's start Super Voice 2022, Episode 3. Today we have three speakers on board, and now I welcome our first contestant on knockout round, Geosley. Geosley is a product evangelist and community builder at AxleQ. Welcome, Geosley.
Thank you, Amala. I'm excited
Hi,
to
how
be
are you
here.
doing today?
I'm doing great and looking forward to the next round.
Okay, all right. You have 25 minutes in total for the talk. Now the stage is yours. You can start.
So, welcome, judges. And fellow listeners. Today, I'd like to kick off this particular talk with a magic, an illusion by David Copperfield, an American magician. So, here you will see six different cards. You need to think on one, think on it, don't touch it, do not click on it, just keep it in your mind. Now, look straight into the eyes of David Copperfield and think on your card. You'll notice that your card is now gone. What I did, my dear friends, was a simple visual trick. I am Geosley Andrades, tester by heart and driven by community. And this is my talk. Look beyond what the eyes can see, driving visual validations. If you ask a human to spot the differences between this simple image, it might look quite difficult. But for now, with the power of AI and visual testing, this can be done in matter of seconds. So the five differences would have been practically very difficult or might take a lot of time for us to actually identify. According to stats, 39% of the people will stop engaging with the website if the images won't load or take too long to load, in a research done by Adobe. Today, visual bugs are everywhere. This is an example of TripAdvisor mobile app where the names overlap and are not readable. LinkedIn was not far away. In their sales navigator, you can see this visual bug where the elements were kind of repeating. You will find visual bugs in other prominent applications as well, and some of these are Amazon, where the users were not able to proceed with the order if the quantity of that order was raised by one. And this is of Facebook Navigator, where it was very difficult to even imagine reading this particular left hand side uh, text. So, before we deep dive into what visual testing is all about, we need to understand the prime differences between functional testing and visual testing. So, functional testing, it is to ensure no bugs are in the input and the output functionality of your application. Whereas visual testing ensures no visual discrepancies detract from the aesthetics or usability of your app. Now, requirements are then visual tests for you should not slow us down. It's important for us to go faster and use the latest and greatest of tech for our needs. So, when we talk basically about how the workflow of visual testing looks like, it encapsulates it into four different steps. The first step is to drive the application under test and take screenshots. Once you have taken screenshots, you register the baseline. You rerun your applications after different deployments and then you report the differences against the baseline. The fourth step is if at all there are differences that you agree visually, you can always go ahead and update the baseline. Now, what is the real challenge out there when it comes to visual testing? So, for example, if you take one screen, you have 20 visual elements. And say, for example, you want to validate whether they are visible or not. You want to validate their XY coordinates, height, width, or background color. Now, if you look at 20 visual elements on a page and 5 assertions per element, you're indirectly writing 100 lines of code. Now, this multiplies if you consider different platforms, OS, browsers, mobiles, etc. So, in the example, if you are working with 20 visual elements on a page into 30 platforms, it comes to 600 unique configurations. And to add, if your application has around 100 screens, this computes to around 60,000 unique configurations. That's a whole lot of code. Now, going back into how traditionally visual testing was done, and with the kind of open source tools that are there out there in the market, something like OpenCV and num.py is what I will demonstrate as an example. So, here I am going to verify the visual differences between these two different maps. So, let's how we can see open source .py application. So, first and foremost, we import CV, we import num.pback, then we do images that we want to compare the differences with, and then we subtract the differences in the images. And the result is stored in whether it's true or false, and then we do a if and conditional statement whether the images are same or the images are different. So traditionally, when you run this test, you can see that the images are different is the output that we get using some of these open source tools. So here you see the output which comes in black with the differences that you see here. Now in reality, it's very difficult to even interpret thing or what was not. If you see the screen now, and when you put them all together, you will know that the time was missing a 1, the scale had a missing 0, False Creek place was missing, the word Vancouver was not properly written, the degree in the temperature was missing. Now, these were difficult when we were doing traditionally or using some sort of open source tools which were there. What this open source tools probably followed was pixel to pixel comparison or nothing but snapshot testing. Now, the problem with pixel to pixel comparison is that if at all there is a slight deviation of that particular object or element that you're trying to visually compare, it will still give you a false positive, right? So we wanted to eliminate the need for the problems of anti-aliasing, where you don't want to get unnecessary issues with visual test if there is a slight deviations in the pixels. So there comes visual testing using AI and computer vision. Now, how this is different and what is the protocol that we follow? You have to basically run your test in staging or production. This particular new age tools extract the screenshots, DOMs, and CSS rules, and then they correlate the visual differences using the power of AI and computer vision. Now, let's see a quick demonstration with a Hello World website. So, in this particular first scenario, which is the Hello World scenario, what we are going to do is we are going to go to the Hello World page. We are going to check the number, which is 123456. That is going to change when you change the different websites that you're playing with. Okay. Just a second. Yeah, right there. Okay, so we have this website, the Hello World website. Now we are going to check the difference and visualize this particular application. So the first test, we are going to verify the number 123456, take the screenshot. Post this, we are going to navigate to the different website, which is going to change the number that we want to visually compare. So in the first step, what we are going to do is we are going to import the WebDriver, which is Selenium import WebDriver. Then we are going to import the ICE. So to do that, you need to use the command pip install ICE Selenium, which is where you can install the Applitools SDK and the Selenium Python WebDriver. So once you're done that, you need to use the API key, which is the Applitools API key. Now, the way you get that and the way you connect to Visual Tools is you have to get into the profile. You have to select My API key. This is where you will get the API key to use. Then you need to pass your desired capabilities. In this particular demo, I'm going to run this particular visual test on an Android emulator. So you pass the capabilities. Then you initialize the ICE. Then you open the ICE where you specify the driver, app name, and the test name. Then you get the driver URL or navigate to the driver URL, which is our Hello World website. Then you check the window, which is where you're going to compare the first checkpoint. And then you're going to click on the click me button and you're going to take your second screenshot. So after that is done, you close your eyes, you quit your driver, and you abort your ICE statement. So let's see this in action. So the first step is when you run you will go into the Hello World website. So let's wait for the website to load. So once this website is loaded, what we will do is we are going to compare the and take the screenshot of this particular page. If you see the number here closely, it is 1 2 3 4 5 6. So once this is done, once you have captured the first screenshot or the first checkpoint, you will click on the click me button, and here you'll say you have successfully uh, clicked on the button, and then you're going to take the second screenshot. So once this is done and completed, let's see how it will be captured onto the platform. So our test has successfully run now. So we'll go into amplitude size now. We'll capture and see the first screenshot. Please note we have not captured the baseline, so there will be no baseline image. So we'll use this particular image as our baseline, which is 1 2 3 4 5 6. The way that you register your baseline is to click on the thumbs up button, which is on the top right corner of this page. So now we have registered our baselines. Now we are going to move into a different page wherein we know that the number is going to change in that. So we'll run again the same test on an emulator on a different website, which is going to look visually exactly the same as the first one. The only difference you will see is the change in the number. So let's wait for the Hello World to open up again, which will generate a random number now. So now you see a random number here, 518053. So we will capture this particular checkpoint. So once this is done, we are going to click on the click me button and capture this particular visual snapshot as well. So once this is done, you close your eyes, you close the driver, and let's see whether the platform has been able to visually compare the difference. Now you'll see a message here. This is not an error. It is just telling you that the visual comparison that you did is not matching. So let's see it actually visually. So we go into the platform, refresh, and go into the page. You see it is unresolved. Now, when you go into this, you will see the exact difference between these two baseline images, and you'll see that the number is the place where it was actually a difference on. So he again on the click me, you will see that the number is something which is going to be visually mismatched. So you can click on the thumbs down icon on the top right, and once you do that, you can mark your test as failed. So this is the first uh, section of the Hello World scenario. Now, say for example, you want to work with uh, second, you want to work with large DOM structures. Now, at times, what happens is we have browsers that do not allow to capture the entire screenshot of the page. So only the specific viewport of the browser window is captured. Now, how do we deal with pages which are huge and large and have large DOM structures? So let's see a quick demo on that. So here is our large DOM page. Now this page has roughly around 50 levels nested deep uh, elements and levels. So if you scroll horizontally and if you scroll vertically, you will be able to see the page which is huge vertically as well as horizontally. So this is from the Internet Horoku website, which is free to use, and you can always give it a try if you want to work with large DOM objects. Now for this, what is going to change in terms of code? The only change that you will have to do is specifically eyes.full full page screenshot equal to true is the only command you will have to write, and applitools will do exactly the same thing what it did in the hello world scenario. So all of the steps, be it importing the eyes, be it opening the eyes, be it checking the window, be it closing the eyes, and be it quitting the eyes, this is going to remain same as a template. So we are going to run this scenario, and you will see that we are going to invoke the large DOM page. So what it will do is it will scroll horizontally as well as vertically and capture the entire DOM page. Now in this example, we've already captured the baseline, so I will not get into the process of capturing the baseline. We will just see in terms of whether this particular website is able to get visually captured, and we are able to compare this. So let's wait for this to run. Let's wait for all the elements on this screen to be captured. So once this is captured, we will verify that in the platform. So give it some time. Now our test has run. Now we just refresh and we see the full page screenshot. So here in terms of large DOM objects, you will see that this particular difference has been actually captured. Okay. Now let's go into another scenario where we have to verify, uh, you know, where we have to verify the match level by content. Now, when this is important, right? So if you are working with pages where you are not least bothered about what the color of the page is. Now this is useful in websites. For example, you are running a particular Independence Day, probably you have an Independence Day or you have some particular holiday and you want to change the color of your website, but you are least bothered about how the website color looks like, but you are more interested that your content is not breaking. So how do you visually test such kind of scenarios? So let me show you a quick demo around this. So this is a website. This is a website from Angie Jones. I have installed this on my local. This is a website about bookstores where you see the book and the price. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting into the CSS files. I'm changing the pricing value or the color from violet to red. So I say hash ff00 and I refresh this particular website. Now you will see that the color has changed from violet to red. Okay. The thing that we are going to do differently here is we are only going to compare the content and not anything else. Okay. So we run this particular scenario where we are importing match level. This is the only change that you'll have to do is you have to import match level. And the idea is to basically use match level dot content, right? So this is instructing the platform to just validate the content and not worry about anything else. Okay. So let's quickly run the scenario. So here we are opening the automation bookstore and we have changed the CSS values from violet to red in terms of the pricing. Now let's see how Applitools is going as a platform going to visually compare this. Okay. So now our test is run. And now if you see in terms of the differences and the screenshots that are taken, you will see that the match level has passed despite the screenshots being different. So let's see that. So I refresh and then we go into the Applitools and you will see here that your test has passed despite of the colors being different. So this is very useful when it comes to when you're just worried about the content and not anything else. Okay, there are various different other match levels which Applitools provides. So match level strict is something by default which will also consider color into consideration. So even if you do not specify match level as strict, Applitools by default considers it to be strict, and in case of changing it to strict, it will actually highlight the differences that you see right now being highlighted. So there are various other match levels like exact, which is pixel to pixel comparison, which is not recommended, and the other one is layout, which you'll see just shortly. So now this is done. Now we will see how we can validate and match dynamic sort of content. So at times what happens is when you are running your visual test, you might have dynamic content. If you have a page which you want to visually validate, there would be chances that you will have to compare the dynamic content of the page. So in this website, if you see, this is Internet Heroku again, you will see that the images and the content will change on every refresh. So this is a dynamic website, right? Now, how you can deal with visual validations of this particular website? So the change that we are going to do here is we are going to use match level dot layout. So we are going to import match level again, the same steps. We are going to open the eyes. We are going to insert the match level, and you're going to run this particular test. So let's see whether this test is going to visually compare dynamic content layout. So we open the app. Now Applitools captures this particular dynamic content where you see on the left hand side the images are changed and the text is changed. So we'll see whether it's throwing out an error when we are comparing with the baseline image. So our test now is run. Let's get into the platform and see how things are shaped up. So here we refresh. Now if you see, Applitools has sent this as a pass result because we have selected by content. Now if you select by strict, which is our default criteria, you will exactly know that the images and the text have changed. So in this scenarios, by using match level layout, you will be able to just compare based on layout. Let's get into another example where a use case is you want to compare by region, right? Again, this is the automation bookstore, and you will need such kind of things when you want to compare only a specific area of your test. So what you do is you open the website, you get into the developer tools, you capture the ID of that element. So here I wanted to compare a particular section of the page, PID6, which is the bookstore page, right? I'm checking that particular region which I want to compare, and I'm doing the exact same steps. So I run this test. Okay, now this is going to open the automation bookstore, and it's going to compare just that advanced Selenium in Java section that we want to compare or visually validate. Now this is useful when you're not worried about any other content in the page or any other site. You have made only changes to that particular region, and you can compare only a section or only a region of that particular check. So now we run our test, and now you will see here that the region has been captured. So let's get quickly back after our demos into a quick recap of what we just studied. So to install the Applitools sites, you need to do a pip install Selenium. Then you need to implement Applitools import ice. That is what you need to do, right? And the third thing is you need to, when you're working with large objects or large structures, you need to take a full screenshot. When you're matching by content, you need to use match level content. When you're matching by layout, you need to use match level dot layout. And when you're checking the region, you need to check by region. So all of you need to remember is what a website or an app looks like is as important as how well it works. So we need to use visual testing as an important supplement to classic automation. There are various open source tools out there like iSpy, Wrath, Backstop.js, Cypress Image Snapshots, and various paid tools out there like Applitools, Percy, Chromatic, Hapo, etc. So one thing you need to remember, each tool has its own strength and limitations. You need to decide which works best for your requirements. So do a lot of research and proof of concept before finalizing the tool for your visual testing needs. This presentation was based on blogs from Applitools and Test Automation University. I like to end my presentation saying a picture is worth 1,000 words and a snapshot is worth 1,000 assertions. Wishing you all success to take your visual testing to the next level. I'm Geosley Andrades, and this was my talk. Thank you.
Okay, great. That was an interesting talk, Josley. And thank you so much for sharing this tool because it is very helpful for many of us. And yeah, let's ask our judges about the feedback. Starting with Lalit.
Josley, very powerful comeback. And I would say if I would be on program committee of some conference, I would pick this talk right away. And I'm definitely not exaggerating anything. I like the content, the delivery, the creativity part of it, and you were very natural compared to uh, the stress with which you were talking last time. Uh, it was more or less a mini workshop on the topic, I would say, and I honestly don't have something I would say change this or that. Uh, Good luck, and I really wish to see this talk delivered somewhere sooner or later. Very well done.
Thank you so much, Lalit.
Thank you, Lalit. Over to you, Lena.
Thank you so much, Geosley. I agree. I was flipping back through my notes to see what I wrote the last time because it felt like a very different person presenting. You felt confident. You had a very um, you did good like variations of your tone and your speed. It felt very much more alive than last time. Um, I I think I will repeat this every time I give feedback. You can add even more pauses, especially when you're transitioning from one thing to the next. Don't be afraid of silence because silence is really powerful. Um, I loved the content. I loved how you structured it. I really liked your recap part where you clearly it was like this perfect thing you could screenshot when you're at the conference and just bring home and remember. Sometimes I wondered, is Applitool the only tool that does this? Because it felt a bit like an Applitool commercial at points. And one thing that I think you could remember if you're doing this on like a conference stage and not online is that that amount of code will be impossible for anyone to read. Like 3 lines of code, that's like the amount of code someone can see when you're in an on-site conference. But when you're doing it online like this, it works. If I would take this talk to even the next level, I would talk about earlier what are the alternatives. When would you choose different types? When is this a fantastic business case and when is this not so important? How do I sell this to stakeholders? But it's a great talk, and that would just bring it to a fantastic, magnificent talk. Really well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lina. Thank you for your
Thank you,
feedback.
Lena. Okay, over to you, Ajay.
Hi, Jocelyn.
Yeah, Ajay.
So, yeah, by good demo, variety of demos, right? So, very, very well done on that aspect. You should also try out some animation. See, you have some images on the slides, right? You could also put out some animation and then do pay attention to the zoom percentage. When you are showing code, you could always zoom in by like 300%, right? So something of that sort. So pay attention to animation, zoom percentage, and then I think it'll continue to be a great talk with some minor additions. Yeah, good job.
Thank you so much, Ajay.
Thank you, Ajay. That was great, Josley. Congratulations. Okay,
Thanks a lot.
thank you all. Now I would like to welcome our next contestant, Trisha. Trisha is a software tester and an automation enthusiast. Welcome, Trisha.
Thank you,
Hi,
Amala. Hi, Amala.
how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. Okay, so are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so as you know, you have 25 minutes for the talk. All the
Okay,
best, and the stage is now yours.
thank you. Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about conducting SEO testing, the live demo. The theme given by Supervoice was technical aspect of testing. I chose SEO testing Because it's a niche topic, I added it with my own unique experience and live demo. I'm Trisha Chetani. I worked as a software tester for past 9 years. During my 9 years of experience, I worked on front-end testing, back-end testing, as well as mobile testing. On my journey, I've received certain recognition, which is mentioned in the screen. I give you a moment to read about it. I'm giving you a moment to read a text which is mentioned in the screen. I hope after reading the text in the screen, you are as excited as me. You wanted to understand what we did, what our team did, and how was the journey. So let me take you with that. Let me set the context first. This was a time wherein I've changed to a new job, and my new job demanded me to do a SEO testing. While I was working with the new job, and I was thinking about how to do a SEO testing, I started collaborating with my team members, and I learned from them few challenges. The number one challenge was our team have been penalized for launching a wrong wrong release by by the search engine. And in specific, the release was having two different URLs for the same page, which means the duplicate web page was being uh, out at search engine. And because of this, they were extremely cautious. The second challenge was they learned that all the search engines are coming up with the major update, and to know that none of the search engine mention whatever they are releasing. They only mention 20% of their content. While I was learning about the challenges, I learned about what the team is going through, and I wanted to be there for a longer time. I wanted to go into the next level. I was determined to do a SEO testing, and that's why I started learning about SEO testing. So how I started with the research, and I started collaborating with my team member. I started asking them why they are doing what they are doing, how does it impact the SEO. I started learning from them. And while I started learning from them, I started asking, I started understanding how does it impact to the SEO. I started going to the meetups, conferences, and I started understanding what other people are doing. Well, that was good. And I started attending more of meetups and conferences. I met few team members which were from different department, and we collaborated more. We exchanged our test case, test plans, bug reports, and this helped me to give more confidence. Now I've explained you how I did the research, but let me take you through the specifics of what I tested and how did I learn. So first I started with what are the different types of search engine. I learned there are three different types of search engine. One was crawler based, the second was human based, the third was hybrid based. Crawler based. The term crawler, bot, spider are the same thing, but the word it gets interchangeable. In specific, what does crawler mean? Crawler is a program which is written by a programmer, and it's a process of sneaking into the website until it goes outside the website. Applebot, Googlebot are the good example for it. Human based. Human based search engines are driven by whenever there is some intuition done by human. In specific, human intervention mean changes such as ratings or comment on the web page. And now from Amazon.com is a good example for this. Hybrid. Hybrid is a combination of both crawler as well as human-based search engine. Google, Yahoo are the good example for this search engine. And at this moment of time, our team was focusing on hybrid-based search engine. So my more of the research was based on hybrid-based search engine. Now let me take you through the process of getting traffic from various sources. How do we measure it? What do we call it? The first is organic traffic. Organic traffic is a traffic which is coming from it is a on search, like the website. It is directly user is hitting the website itself. It's not coming from any search engine. It comes through their own credibility. Inorganic traffic. Inorganic traffic is a traffic which is coming from any business development and partnership. Referral traffic. Referral traffic is a traffic which is coming from third-party website. It doesn't come from any search engine. Paid traffic. Paid traffic is a traffic which is coming from Google Ads or any paid advertisement platform. Social traffic. This sort of traffic is coming from any social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If the traffic does not fall into any of this bucket, then we target as others. Now let me take you through the journey of how does crawler work. So the crawler is having three main components. One is crawling, which I've already explained you. The second is indexing. The last is ranking. So now let me get started with indexing. Indexing is a process where it stores and indexes the page index after understanding the page content of the web page. Ranking. Ranking is a process wherein it focuses on targeted SEO, keywords, and to get the relevant results. And staying up to date helps in getting the good rank in search engine. Now let me explain you how does crawler works. If your website needs to be ranked, it needs to be indexed. If your website needs to be indexed, it needs to be crawled. In specific, if you take and copy and paste a paragraph of your website into a search engine and the website comes in the search result along with that content, this means your web page is being crawled and ranked. I'll show you example in a little bit. But now let me tell you how did I test. I'm going to show it with a live demo. So let's get started with how to check whether your website is being indexed or not. At this particular moment of time, I'm using site and Google is a search engine, supervoice. And we could see the supervoice is being indexed, which is by Synapse QA, and it is in the fourth position for the ranking perspective, and it is being indexed. Certain things to remember when we are thinking about our website as being indexed or not. The first is not having any insensitive information in the website. The second thing is not being blocked on robot.txt. So now let me explain you what is robot.txt. Robot.txt is a file which is maintained by a web owner wherein he can mention in the website which web page to be allowed and disallowed for crawling. Let me show you an example. So this is a website by google.com and these are their robot.txt file. And here on the top, you could see the user agent, which means any user agent. And disallow is for disallowing this particular page, and allow means for allowing this particular web page. And if we go further down, we would see other set of user agent with other set of allow and disallow. Certain things to remember about robot.txt, which I learned from my experience. All the search engine does not appreciate robot.txt. The second thing is, if any web page in robot.txt is marked as disallow, but that is linked to the third-party website, the crawler will still go ahead and crawl it. It will not respect the rule of robot.txt. Sitemaps. Sitemaps is a file which will be maintained by a web owner, and this is the first place wherein when crawler will come, it will look for it and it will crawl the listed web pages from this place. Let me show you an example now. So I'm showing you two examples. One is an HTML format, the second is an XML format. The HTML format of sitemaps looks like this. And this is from the XML format. Certain things which I learned about sitemap is sitemap should be maintained when the website is big enough. The sitemap should be maintained when they link with the third-party websites. The third thing is the sitemap should be maintained when your website is having unique page content, rich media files, and specific good images, good video files, etc. Now let me explain you how to our website as mobile friendly or not, because it's been appreciated by search engine. So what was happening, to give you a context, previously all the web browsers or web owners were launching their website in isolation, and they were not maintaining the rules. That's why the search engine in 2019 they came up with the rules, saying that they wanted the web page of the desktop version as well as the mobile version to have the same URL structure, to have the same page content, to have the same image, to have the same sort of video files. And since this was came up with the search engine, the web owners started following it because they wanted their websites to be ranked. This is a website by google.com, and wherein we can enter the URL and we can see whether our website is being mobile friendly or not. Here we could copy paste, and we can go over here and we can copy the HTML code of the web page and we can paste it and we can test again our website is being crawled, or sorry, our website is being mobile friendly or not. Certain things from my experience to be remembered, which is being appreciated by search engine, as first as navigation, the second as performance, because mobile is having less memory. The third thing is about responsiveness, because mobile comes across with various form factors such as tablets, feature phone, smartphones. So we need to think about it. SERP. SERP means search engine result page. Search engine result page is launched to the user experience. Let me give you an example. What does search engine result page means? So now if I go over here in the web browser and I type for QA, I would see again the search engine is listing me results with the relevant results. And here we could see Synapse QA, Instagram, social handles, things like that. In search engine results page, we could have more information if we search for, let's say, actress. Here I could see the knowledge section, which particular domain she was expert in, what was her family background, which all movies she have done, what is her social media profile. And here I could see the top stories about her, what people is asking, and we could see relevant videos, related search. It goes with the keyword we are searching for. If we are searching for a food delivery app, we would get location. If I'm searching for any mobile phone, I'll get the advertisement. So different keywords will have different search results page, and the widgets of search results page display accordingly. Now let me explain you about tags. Tags are very important when we are thinking about SEO. Having unique, descriptive, related tags are much appreciated. Let me show you some specific tags. Here I'm searching for Amazon DE mobile phone. and I go to their web page and I inspect and I'm searching for title tag. And here you would see the title tag, and the same tag is there, whatever you are seeing in the tag, you would see in here in the description. Then goes the keyword, and then the description. These are also the important tags, which will be again displayed below of what we are seeing. This is a canonical URL, and this is a URL which will be crawled by any crawler. They will not crawl what you are seeing over here. They will crawl this particular URL. Other tags such as image tag. The image tag should be having a alt tag so that it's descriptive and it shows which link it's going to. So that was from the tag perspective. Now I'm explaining about the URL structure. The first comes with protocol, which means HTTP. HTTP is a protocol, which means hypertext protocol. And the second part is domain. And the third part is path. And then the description, or it could be query string. Google have their own web page to see whether the web page is being rendered or not when we give the particular URL or the URL structure to check whether it's being correct or not or being appreciated by any search engine. Other thing I could explain about SEO like URL structure is having a same URL structure across mobile and web should be appreciated, and that's why we have deep linking feature. Now security. From security aspect, having a like I've explained you already HTTP protocol. So all the websites should be HTTPS secured. And Google is having this particular website wherein they are explaining about security aspect and taking care of malware, unwanted software, social engineering. And specifically, they wanted us to not have a lot of 404 page because having a 404 page in search engine for user perspectively does not make any sense. Apart from this, having a good log file wherein there's not a lot of information as revealed, that is also appreciated. And using of third-party library cautiously is also being appreciated, and keeping them up to date is also appreciated by a search engine because it helps in boosting the security of the website. Now to summary, after learning about SEO, I've improved myself for the SEO. If you go and Google myself, you would see a good search results about me for the SEO perspective. And now I've given a talk about it so that you can do it. If you are still not able to do it, you can hire me, I'll help you to do it. Before ending my talk, I just wanted to leave you with some motivational quotes, and that's why the slide is here. I wanted to pay my sincere thank you to Kritika, who helped me to polish my talk. I also wanted to thank Synapse QA for giving me a chance to share my talk, share my ideas, and I also wanted to thank all the judges for listening to me. Thank you. Now I'm open for your feedback.
That was a nice talk, Trisha. Thank you so much for shedding some light on the search engine optimization area.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's ask our judges for the feedback. I'll start with Lena.
Thank you so much for that talk, Trisha.
Thank you.
I really love that you took the theme in a totally different direction than what I was expecting. So thank you for that. I think SEO is something we all should know way more about and focus more. I think you did a fantastic outro. If I was hiring an SEO tester, I would totally ring you up. And your time management was perfect. It never felt rushed or like you were not able to go deep when you wanted to go deep. I sometimes felt like you sounded a bit like you were reading from your notes, a slight unnatural part, and I don't know if that's just how you talk, but it felt a bit strained at time. I think one thing that I noticed, a pattern I noticed, is that you read the, if you were reading from a bullet list, you read the text and then you talked about the text. So you said a lot of things twice, like traffic is, things like that. And you could easily just shave up the first part to make it a bit smoother. And I would have loved, since you talked about a lot of things during these 20 minutes, and it was hard to remember all of the things. So like ending with a summary slide of like, if you take 3 things from this talk, it would be these 3. But I really liked the talk. So thank you so much, Trisha.
Thank you, Lena.
Thank you, Lena. Okay, now let's move on to Lalit.
Trisha, congratulations. I think you did very well by pondering upon the feedback you received last time, and I see good improvement on lots of stuff. I like the theme you chose. The topic you chose, which is very in line with the theme. Also, time management is very cool. New topic, not new topic, but interesting topic with lots of good, useful insights, I would say. Uh, I indeed also felt that you were reading, but that's probably just the impression, or maybe because of this online setup that makes us feel that way. But to avoid that, I would say you could still work more on the way you deliver. In my understanding and experience, your delivery is more or less monotonous. If I were you, I would try to make it more exciting at some places by changing the pitch, like doing some kind of pitch modulation and sounding more natural than that someone has made you talk and deliver, and do not lose that frame for 40 minutes. I think your talk will be more effective if you're just natural the way you speak in other setup, and not speak as if your talk delivery mode is turned on. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. So I think only apart from that topic, I don't see any other uh, scope of improvements so far, but very well done. And I think with more practice you will overcome all these other challenges too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lalit. Over to you, Ajay.
Hi, Trisha. Good topic, and congratulations for that. And say you had the website mobile friendly, then you talked about crawling, indexing, ranking, then you talked about robots, then you talked about security, right? Sometimes they felt they were disjointed, right? They were like thrown slide after slide. If you had tied them up, you knew the 8 things that you were going to talk about. So initially or in between, if you said, here are the 8 things that I'm going to highlight, and right now we are at point number 4. So the audience will be able to relate to it. Now we don't know how many more points are there, or are you done with it, right? So it is like, okay, we learned about robots.txt, great. Now, okay, let's wait for Trisha to tell what it is. We can't you say we can't predict what you will say next, which is sometimes not great. And so tying the points into a single slide, either at the start or at the end, would have been great. And maybe try speaking at like how you speak with your friends. That, and you could have avoided the take a moment to read it. It's okay. People would have anyways read it by the time you, if you are speaking, right? So either you avoid those kind of slides, or don't give that awkward silence. Unless it is like very important, someone has to really pay attention to that text, you need not say, now take a moment to read it, right? So if it is a poll, if someone has to do an exercise, based on that. Then you can give the audience the time to read you, and that to like 1 or 2 sentences. You need not give them like 1 minute. Like for example, I finished it in 10 seconds. Now the next 50 seconds I'm just staring at the screen, right? So you could have avoided that. Good. I mean, overall, I would say a lot of improvement from last time, and looking forward to more improvements in the next time. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ajay. And thank you all the judges. Trisha, congratulations. You have shown improvement. And yeah, very well
Thank
done.
you.
And see you on next round.
Thank you.
Before moving on to our next contestant, we'll go for a short break. Meanwhile, I want to give a shout out for our episode partner, Brightest. Brightest is a global examination body supporting global certification standards in several languages like ISTQB, DevOps, etc. They help provide a path for measuring and confirming industry based knowledge in areas of expertise throughout IT industry. So, see you after the break. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Brightest, your global certification provider. Agile United, full immersion in the Agile mentality. API United, helping testers achieve their goals. AI United, discover the benefits of AI in your projects. Cloud United, support for testers working in the cloud. Data and Analytics United, work more efficiently and get more from your big data. Design Sprint Alliance, achieve the impossible in only a few days. DevOps United, discover the importance of continuous, everything. Performance Testing United, reach a new level of excellence. Selenium United, take pride in your automation achievements. Demonstrate your knowledge of metrics with IFPUG. Gain a solid foundation of software architecture with ISAQB. Join the world's largest group of software testers with ISTQB. And achieve your IT project management goals with WIPyam. Reach out to Brightest. Your Brightest team is waiting to hear from you and support you achieve your goals. Book your exam today.
Welcome back to Super Voice 2022. And now we move on to our final contestant for today, Raman. Raman is a QA analyst with 16 years of experience in multiple domains. Welcome, Raman.
Yeah, thanks, Amala.
How are you
Thanks for
doing?
introducing. Yeah,
How are you doing?
yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay, thank you. All the best, and the stage is now yours. Please take
Okay,
note that you have 25 minutes for the talk.
sure. Okay,
You can start now.
okay. So, hi, judges, and hi, audience. Audience. So, first of all, I would like to say thanks to the judges for their feedback on the previous session we had, and it was actually really a genuine feedback which I have received. So, based on those feedback, I have tried to improvise myself, and hopefully I'll will not disappoint you all at this time. Maybe we'll have some other feedback, but yeah, I'll try my best. Thank you all judges for being part of this session and allowing me to talk in front of all of you. So and thanks to the audience who are currently watching it live, and hopefully I'll come up with some better presentation, or my talking skill would be more improvised with this presentation. So let's talk about DevOps. So the expectation from this session would be I'll be talking about various glimpses of DevOps. So I would like to note down here a few points for the audience. Like I'll be talking about the evolution of DevOps, what are the benefit and advantages of DevOps, and the DevOps phases which are being involved. There are certain best practices which are being revolving around DevOps. And the most importantly, the testing in DevOps. So at the end, I'll be taking up the challenges which are being involved in the DevOps. So to begin with, I'll like to start and I'll go a little behind, like so many years back when we started using the waterfall model. So the waterfall model was the most favorite model among IT industry when it all started, and everybody was very happy to see work on this model because this was an organized way where we have in SDLC people being started using the modeling way of organizing thing in the IT industry when it comes to delivering any project or product to the end customer. So here is a pictorial representation which I have found it to be very impressive when it comes to explaining the waterfall model. As you could see from the picture, the water is flowing down from the stairs like step by step. So each stair or the steps define the various phases of the development life cycle of waterfall model. So the first steps would be the requirement analysis, and then we have the design stairs, and then on the development stairs, and then the water is flowing down or the code is flowing down on the testing phase, and then it goes to the maintenance before, and this is how we used to deliver the product to the end customer. So as you know, like when we started with this waterfall model, sooner or later, when we have started implementing these features, we realized like there are certain challenges which we need to overcome. Because once we started using this, and if there is a sudden change or there are some minor tweaks which need to be done, or if there is another feedback from the customer, then we need to do the things from the scratch. So let's see various challenges which we already faced or which we are still facing if we are using the waterfall model. As you could see in this picture, the person is flowing down the water. So what I am trying to depict in this picture is if there is any slippage in the requirement, or if there is any change, or if you have missed any point, so the cost of making that change or to bring that change back would be a huge. So you have to start from the scratch. There will be an effort wasted for the whole development team, and the customer might get the outcome very late. Let's move on to the another challenge. So, and in today's world, like we need everything very quickly. So we need to have a solution very fast. So with the development model of waterfall, we have seen that it is taking a bit time. So we need to be proactive. We need to work on the changes very quickly. And if there is any change, we need to have the solution ready. So that was also one of the challenge for the waterfall model. As you can see in this picture, two people are holding hands with each other. So the representation here is when it comes to the interaction between the customer and the development team. So as we know, in the waterfall model, we used to interact only very few times in the initial stages of our life cycle. We note down the requirement, we have those changes, and at the end, when we have the product ready, then we go to the customer. So the customer and the development team need to go hand in hand with each other so that they could deliver a product very nicely. So that was few of the challenges I would like to highlight. There could be many more challenges, but I tried to cover all those important one in this slide. So with all those challenges within mind, so the people from IT industry or from the software world, they have come up with many more models. So let's move on to the next model which I have chosen. So the next model is agile model. So people have started talking about since people have started talking about the limitations, so they have come up with the solution. So all those limitations are being covered they have tried to cover everything in the agile model. So there is a little short story behind the agile model. So I will wrap it up quickly. Like there was few frustrated people from the IT industry. They were working on some software. They got little frustrated. They went on a vacation and they discussed the solutions, outcomes, problems, and they came up with the agile manifesto. So this is how agile manifesto came up into the picture. So agile model is just an iterative approach where we have broken down the bigger module into smaller module, and we are delivering the code or delivering the product in smaller chunks. So here is a pictorial representation of the agile model. It's all the same. We have taken up all the limitation from the waterfall model and other few models and come up with this agile model where we, as you could see, we develop, we test, we deploy and review, and then we again do the changes, and this circle continues till we deliver a good product. As I said before, there are some limitations since people started working on the agile model. So they realized like we need something more better than agile model. So let's see what are the challenges people have while they're working on the agile model. So these were all the manifestos. So I would like to take a pause here before going on to the limitation or challenges. So these are the manifestos where we would, the agile model being in picture, we value more individual and interaction rather than just working on the tool. We have a working software which is more important to us rather than the documentation. And then we value customer collaboration, which I have shown in my previous slide, over the contract negotiation at the end. We should be more responsive to the changes which is happening in the agile model rather than following a certain plan which may end up messing up at the end of the cycle. So let's move on to the challenges. As you could see, software and the development team and the operation team, they never used to interact with each other. There's always a conflict between the development and the operation team. So in order to bring them together, we need to think of a certain solutions. So this was one of the challenges which agile team has to go through. So most of the things are driven by the customer feedback. So whatever outcome we have are all driven by the customers. So that is also one of the challenge we have from the agile model. Since we have an iterative approach, we are delivering things on in pieces. So the maintenance cost was very high when it comes to delivery products in certain phases or maybe in iterative process. So that was also one of the challenges which we had with the agile model. So people have worked again on those models and they have come up with something new. Oh, it looks like some star is coming around or some new feature is coming around. So let's see what we have in plate, what we got from the IT industry. So here come the new star. I would rather call it an old wine in a new bottle. So that is how I represent the DevOps. So DevOps has gathered all those limitations and challenges which we have seen in the agile model so that we could come up with a better solution so that we could have a better quality product at the end of the day. So let's talk about DevOps more. So what is DevOps? DevOps is just an approach, or you can say it's altogether a cultural change. I would try to quote it here. Like it's all about the cultural change which we need to see in our IT world when it comes to developing a software. So you could see here this pictorial representation. It's an infinite loop. We are doing the same work but in a different way. So we have collaborated, the development team and the operation team. As you could see on the left, we have the development team, and on the right, we have the operation team in a circle. So we plan, we build, we integrate, and we deploy, and we monitor, we operate, and we share a continuous feedback to the development team, and then they make the changes and then again build. This is how the DevOps works. So let's move on to the next one. Let's see what we have more in plate for DevOps. Now you must be wondering like why I need to have DevOps. I mean, what additional we are doing with the DevOps when we already have agile, people are happy with even in the limitation. Then we have waterfall model, we have other models. So let's talk about certain practices or the best practices we have in play for the DevOps. Closer collaboration. Since development and the operation team has started working together, so that's how one of the beauty of the DevOps. Earlier, the development and operation team work in silo. They had a different planning. They have a different goals. They have different roles and responsibilities, and they used to work in silo. With DevOps, they have started working as a close collaboration within the team itself. Continuous delivery and integration, which we generally call it as a CI and CD. So with the continuous delivery, as I have shown you in the previous slide, this is an infinite loop. We are continuously delivering and integrating things. So that is one of the best practices in DevOps. You have those model or you have those code which is deployed continuously. You automate those deployment and you deliver and you integrate it. This is how the continuous integration and delivery is happening with the DevOps as a best practices. And this is one of the good practices in DevOps and main key factor here in DevOps. So the another one is the shared responsibility. As you know, like we cannot work in a silo. So we need to have more interaction and we need to have more shared responsibilities when it comes to working in DevOps. So we have set of defined priorities and responsibilities among the team, be it a development and operation team, so that everybody know what is their end goal. So this is how the best practice happens for the shared responsibilities. Then we have a very beautiful thing called Git repository and the workflow. So we have the deployment and the build which is being automated, and we have that version control which is happening because with this continuous delivery and integration, we need to have that repository maintained somewhere. So we need to have the version control which is being taken care by a Git. So that is how one of the beautiful practices we have in the DevOps. Communication, it is one of the most important factor here when it comes to the DevOps. The more we communicate, the more we deliver. So we need to have that cultural change coming up with the DevOps. Like we need to communicate more, be it a business analyst, be it a developer, be it anybody, or be it the test team or the operation team. So whosoever is a part of the DevOps, they need to interact a lot so that you could have more clearer picture on what you are working rather than waiting at the end and getting to know like, hey, this was not supposed to happen this way. So communication is the key factor here. So IT service management is the next one. Here I could see uh, we have the service, we have the change management, then you have the control management, security management. So these are all the features which are being covered under the IT service management. So to that, to bring them all together as a best practice. Automation. This is one of the crucial thing when it comes to DevOps. So DevOps, it is one of the key area or most important area in DevOps. So we'll be discussing more on this in the next upcoming slides. As you could see, there is a pictorial represent which I have used of a factory model, and you can see it on the left. Like this is a manufacturing unit where they are building some cars, and you could see each and every machine has a dedicated task. So every machine is doing their own task, but they are working on a single unit. As you could see, each machine, there are multiple um, machines, and there is only a single product which they are working. And you could see there is a very less human intervention involved here. As you can see on the top also, on the bottom also, the machines are working independently without any manual intervention. So this is how the journey of automation began. Like the people have started using manual testing. They realized the cost of manual is too high. Then they came up with an idea of automation. So let's automate certain stuff. Let's start with the regression. They started automating the regression stuff, and then they have this integration model which is being automated. So with this, all those things, they realize like we need to have automation in place for this DevOps model. So this is how the automation is a key area. So each and every phase in the DevOps, when it comes to the planning, the development, or being it a release or the testing, so they have started to build an automation around each and every phase so that you could have a faster delivery and there could be no more challenges or no more grudges within the team, and each and every team should be happily working together, and there should be a quick resolution. At the end, the customer should be happy. So that is how the automation play a key role here. So you could see the picture is resolving. That means automation is never going to stop. It is revolving around each and every phase of the DevOps. So this slide talks about the various tools which are in place uh, for each and every phases of DevOps. For the planning, we have multiple tools. Even for the build model, we have multiple tools. As you could see, there is for integration, we have multiple tools, and in the deployment, even for the operation, there are multiple tools which are being involved here. So there are a lot of tools available in the market. You can start working on it, and this is how you become a part of the DevOps phase. Each and every phase of DevOps which has been automated. So that's the beauty of DevOps. So uh, as I said before, since people who have started working on DevOps, they realize certain challenges because it's an altogether it's cultural change or change in the habit which needs to be done when it comes to the DevOps. So let's talk about the challenges which the IT field is facing when it comes to the DevOps. Overcoming the mentality. So we need to overcome the mentality like the development team is a different team, operation team is a different team. So we need to have those challenges being done properly. We need to overcome those challenges. We need to have those challenges overcome sooner or later. But in order to overcome those mentality, we need to be a part of that DevOps practices. So that's how we can come out of that challenge. So the next one is understanding the continuous delivery practice. As in IT industry, many people feel like it's a continuous integration and delivery. Some call it continuous integration and development, and some would like to call it as a continuous deployment. So we need to have those standard practice. We need to learn the DevOps practices and understand the phases. And this is how we could get the best out of the DevOps when it comes to the continuous delivery practices. Defining the automation test strategy. I know like automation is already existing from over the decades, and we have started implementing the automation in each and every phase of the development when it comes to DevOps. But we need to move a one step ahead when we are implementing an automation for any phase. Like why we are automating is what is the outcome I'll be getting out of this? Is there any benefit when we are automating it? So those kind of thought process still need to be brought when we are working on the automation. So there is a too much focus on tools. As I was shown you in my previous slide, there are tons of tools which are available in the market. So we need to think twice before we implement anything. So you should, I mean, there are multiple tools. So whosoever is implementing or using this DevOps as a channel to have those practices implemented, they need to have a thorough study on the tools. So it's not that we can pick up any tool and start implementing on the DevOps. We need to have the understanding. We need to know the limitation. We need to know the challenges and the benefits, obviously. So, so there is a too much focus on the tools with multiple tools. Even the people who are implementing it, who is working on it, they are totally confused, like which tool to pick up on. And so that is also one of the challenges here. So resistance to change, that's we need to work on as a team together when it comes to the DevOps. So as I mentioned, this is a altogether a cultural collaboration. It's altogether a new thing, but as I mentioned, it's an old wine in a new bottle. So whenever we change places or whenever we change a continent, we take certain time to adapt certain things. So let's give DevOps a little more time to develop itself so that people who start working they get some time to settle down so that they could avoid this resistance to change. As you know, like whenever something new is implemented, there's always a resistance. Oh, why would I do that? Why would I need to do that? I'm already happy with what I'm doing. So we need to overcome those resistance. So that's how we could have a better or a good development operation, which is called like DevOps working in place. So with this challenges, I would like to end up my talk here, and I would like to thank you all for listening to me, and thank you judges for giving me this opportunity to talk in front of you. And I hope I did not bore you much, and you had an interactive, or I would say you had a very beautiful time while I was talking. Yeah, thank you all. Let me turn
Thank,
on my video here.
yeah. Thank you, Raman. That was a good attempt. And now it's time for judges' feedback. We'll start with Ajay.
Right. So Raman, again, I think everyone is picking a good topic. So good job. Too much of anything is also not great. So sometimes the images were too much on the slides. And well, you were speaking, there was just one image and then the title of the slide. So it could have been better. Each slide could have been part text, part slide. I mean, part text and part image. And maybe we spent a lot of time on the evolution, like agile, waterfall, before we actually came to DevOps, right? The images could be crisper, and there's something called as balance on the slide. Even if you have just the images, like for example, right now what you see on the Restream UI, right? Like there are like three images at the top and two at the bottom,
Right,
but
right.
margins are equal at top and bottom and left and right, right? So that balance need to be maintained in every slide. And DevOps, I think, is with an capital O. So yeah, those were my points. But then again, quite relevant to the theme. So good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ajay.
Okay, over to you, Lalit.
Raman, I like one thing about you. You are very natural when you talk. You don't feel stress, so it doesn't put any kind of stress on also on the audience. So that's a good part about listening to you. I am a bit unsure if the topic you chose was really complementing the theme, or I mean, it's on borderline for me. I mean, yes, technically it does, but it also doesn't in my understanding. If I was to select, I would have selected something more hands-on, or something that people could maybe use beyond philosophical aspect of the talk. And I also agree with Ajay. I think you spend considerable time on talking about evolution of other models, and perhaps you could cover more topics related to DevOps itself. Maybe you would have gotten more time to discuss the challenges in detail, or maybe also cover some other aspects of the key topic you had in mind. But apart from that, I don't have any other feedback. This is a very interesting and good enough talk for introducing the concept to maybe university graduates or college freshers. But also considering your experience, I would have liked to see more depth in the content,
Sure,
so that people benefit from the big experience you have in industry.
sure. Yeah, thanks, Lalit.
Thanks, Lalit. Over to you, Lena.
Raman, what a difference from last time. I'm so glad I could feel like that this is something you care deeply about, and I honestly I didn't focus on the slides, which I should have, because I was just enjoying listening to you
Oh,
and hearing you talk about the topic, and I'm so glad. So we're not gonna schedule you for 5 o'clock in the morning next time, I hope, because this was such a big difference. I think you had too much content for 20, 25 minutes. And I think, as the other judges have mentioned, waterfall and agile, you could have just cut that out and focus on DevOps, because even though the introduction was so much more alive than the last time, once you started talking about DevOps, you took it one notch up. You got more comfortable, you got more passionate, and honestly, I think we have heard about the problems with waterfall so much, but DevOps is where you could have focused even more. I especially love the challenges part, and I think if you had cut out the waterfall and agile, you could have focused even more there. And I'm gonna take with me the quote: "The more we communicate, the more we deliver." I thought that was just brilliant. But overall, I am so happy I got to see this, Raman. So thank you so much.
okay. Thank you, Lena.
Thank you, Lena, and thank you all the judges. Congratulations, Raman. That was nice.
Yeah, thanks, Amala.
Okay.
I would like to say a few words before I wrap up, if you have time.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I would like to extend this thanks to my wife and my kids as well, because they are because he's helping me out in a different way when it comes to presenting myself, or like preparing myself, like whenever I'm back from office, because uh, here in my US, in my company, I need to go to office during pandemic also. So it's not fully remote for me. So I used to go to office and then come back, and whenever I'm switching on the TV, he used to say, "Hey, what's happening with your presentation?" Then I need to switch off my TV and go back and start reading. And even she has been taking care of kids so that I could focus more on that. And you, especially on Fridays, when you feel like you need to vent out something, you so switch on the TV, you take out your beer from the fridge, and you start thinking, "Hey, what are you doing, man? You have a presentation. You need to prepare that." So, so he has been holding my hand so that I could focus on the other things rather than my daily routine activities, which I've been doing on day-to-day basis. So, thanks to her and thanks to my kids who patiently did that. Now, see, they have been knocking on the door. "Hey, Papa, what are you doing there?" So I just need, my wife is holding them back instead of in front of the door, so that I could get free from this, and they could come and just enjoy with me. So that's all. Yeah, I would like to say.
Lovely. Convey our regards to your wife and kids.
Sure. Thank you.
That was our last contestant for today. I really appreciate all our judges, contestants, and coordinators of Super Voice, because for each of us, we are from different time zones. For some of us, it is late night, and for some of us, it is early morning. So, thank you so much for supporting our show. I also want to thank our audience for showering us with your love and support for Super Voice. Dear audience, this is your show and your voice matters. Please vote for your favorite contestants, and you can also leave some feedback for them in the link below in the comment section. Once again, thanks to our episode partner Brightest. If you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. Till we meet again, this is Amala signing off. Bye.